was unceremoniously fired. He was due to retire with a full pension 2 days later. And already, leaks about McCabe's efforts to discredit his political opponents in the Department of Justice are beginning to surface. To wit, ABC News reported Wednesday that McCabe authorized an FBI investigation of his boss, Attorney General Jeff Sessions, over what Democrats have described as the Attorney General's lack of candor during his confirmation hearing and his subsequent public testimony. The federal criminal investigation was authorized nearly a year ago. Andrew McCabe's previously unreported decision took an extremely unusual step, placing the Attorney General in the crosshairs of the FBI, the very agency that Sessions is supposed to be supervising. Attorney General Jeff Sessions was reportedly unaware of the investigation and remained unaware when he fired McCabe on Friday. According to sources at ABC, only Andrew McCabe, Robert Mueller, Rod Rosenstein, the Deputy Attorney General who appointed Robert Mueller to be special counsel, and a handful of top Democrats and Republicans were aware of the investigation. McCabe authorized the probe after receiving a letter from Democrat Senators Al Franken and Jim Leahy, urging the Department of Justice to examine whether Sessions made false statements to lawmakers. The probe ended shortly after Sessions met with Mueller in the fall. No charges were filed. It remains unclear how actively federal authorities pursued the matter in the months before Sessions' interview with Mueller's investigators. It's also unclear whether the special counsel may still be pursuing other matters related to Sessions and statements he's made to Congress, or others, since his confirmation. McCabe was fired after the Department of Justice Inspector General concluded that he misled investigators about authorizing 2 agents to speak with reporters back in October of 2016 about the Bureau's investigation into Hillary Clinton to try and rebut reports that it had gone easy on Trump's rival. When he was questioned later about that decision, McCabe lacked candor, including under oath, on multiple occasions, Sessions said in a statement announcing McCabe's firing. Of course, McCabe has denied this, and we wonder if he denies similar questions about the source of today's leak. McCabe vehemently denies misleading investigators, saying in his own statement that he's being singled out and treated this way because of the role I played, the actions I took, and the events I witnessed in the aftermath of the firing of James Comey. The report is notable in that it's the first time that a senior Trump official still serving in his administration has been confirmed to be the target of a criminal investigation into perjury. Robert Mueller has already proven more than willing to pursue perjury charges and has secured guilty pleas for perjury from both former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn and George Papadopoulos. So the question is raised, what other senior administration officials have been targeted by Mueller? And are any of those investigations still ongoing? Earlier, it was reported that Mueller was investigating the Trump camp's relationship with Cambridge Analytica, the designated pariah du jour. Interestingly, McCabe apparently made the same miscalculation as his longtime boss and friend, James Comey, namely that launching an investigation against his superior, as Comey did when he oversaw the beginnings of what eventually became the Mueller investigation, would help insulate him. And just like with Comey, it didn't.
Seeking the Truth, Chairman Bob Goodlatte from the House Judiciary Committee is getting ready to issue a subpoena to the Justice Department demanding documents surrounding the FBI's handling of the Hillary Clinton email investigation. Here now is Chairman Goodlatte. Thank you so much for joining us. When's this going to happen?
Well, Melissa, it's going to happen very soon. Not today, but very soon. And it is in response to a long-standing demand that we have had going back to last fall when Chairman Gowdy of the Oversight Government Reform Committee and I launched an investigation into how the FBI handled matters surrounding the Clinton email investigation. There are, as you know, from the page-struck texts and others, many, many questions about how that was handled. And we want the documents that the Inspector General has. He's got 1.2 million documents. So far, they've provided us with about 3,000.
So I'm glad you brought that up. 1.2 million documents. Is that? Do you think they're going to hand it over to you in digital form? I mean, how do you go through that much information?
Well, they should hand it over to us in digital form, and they should hand it over to us unredacted, so that we can see the exact communications that took place and not have to guess a lot of these things or go over to the department and examine documents in camera. We've already, when we've done that, found discrepancies, found things that should have been provided to us unredacted, even in the small amount of information we've received thus far.
Switching to another important topic, though, you are testing the waters with an immigration bill that President Trump is backing. It protects DACA recipients, but includes funding for the border wall. Do you think that it has enough support?
The support for that has been building steadily. We are working with members who have sought changes to parts of the bill, and we're making daily progress on that. We hope to be able to move it to the floor soon.
Yours is more conservative, as I understand it, versus the other bills that are out there being discussed, that you have E-Verify, you want to crack down on sanctuary cities. Tell us, what are some of the details that make yours, in your mind, superior to the other action out there?
Well, we do have more enforcement measures that close the loopholes that we have in our immigration system. So it's not just about a wall, it's about having border security in places, wall in places, but also once people get inside the country, that's when the real problems begin. So we want those provisions. We also want to end extended family immigration and only allow the nuclear family, your spouse and your minor children, and then move toward a merit-based system where we're finding people who are needed in the U.S. economy, not just people who come here because they happen to have a relationship to somebody else.
Do you feel pressure
here
to get something done on this? Because there has been so much back and forth, so much talk. The president, made an offer early on to offer what looks like amnesty to many more people than the Obama administration had, yet we don't see an outcome. And to a lot of Americans, that feels like business as usual in Washington, where things don't get done. Do you feel pressure?
Well, I do feel it's very important that we get this done, and that we get this done as soon as possible. And by the way, while it has the necessary closing of loopholes and other enforcement measures, it also has a generous DACA provision that not only allows people to stay here permanently with periodic renewals, but it also allows them existing pathways to citizenship. Not a special pathway that's created just for them, but if they are lawfully here, which this would create a lawful status for them for as long as they want to stay here. They can travel in and out of the country. They can work. They can own a business. But it also will give them the opportunity, if they marry a U.S. citizen or employer petitions for them, get an opportunity for permanent residence status and then ultimately citizenship. So it's a generous proposal in that regard, but it also says what the Speaker and the President have said, and that is we've got to stop this problem from persisting in the future, and this bill does that.
Congressman Goodlatte, thanks for your time today.
So how important is this interview and what we're learning? It seems to back up exactly what President Trump has been saying.
Yeah, no, I think it does back up and says what President Trump really wants to get to. He wants to get this thing over and done with. He feels exonerated. I think he also feels frustrated. There's been no indication of collusion. And the Mueller investigation is kind of wandering all over now, way beyond the scopes of whether there was collusion in the 2016 presidential election. So I think President Trump is exactly right, and I think Christopher Wray basically said, look, President Trump hasn't put any pressure on me, and I think that's right. Everything that I was hearing beforehand was that was the case.
Christopher Wray has that job because of President Trump. And so for him to say that the president hasn't spoken with him or put pressure on regarding Russia, what does that tell you?
Well, it tells me that President Trump is giving him wide berth and the freedom and independence that he needs as the director of the FBI, with particularly the investigation that Mueller is conducting. The real issue is why isn't Rod Rosenstein, who's the #2 guy at DOJ, why isn't he putting some constraints on that? Why isn't he putting some constraints on that investigation? This thing is way beyond the boundary, and it's gone way long.
Why isn't he? Do you know?
Well, the way I read it is that Rod Rosenstein helped bring Mr. Mueller on, and that his management style is to take a hands-off approach. Well, this is his buddy. He's got given him lots of room, and I think that's a real problem myself.
Hands off, but hands on taxpayer money and time to watch this.
Yes, exactly right. And so it continues to go on and on and on. And quite frankly, a special counsel is going to go as long as you let them go, because they want to come back somewhere along the way and say, look, this is the work product we've done. So,
Congressman Biggs, though, isn't that a little tricky? Because if you step in on Robert Mueller at this point and you thwart this investigation, and I don't know if an attacking tweet does that. I want to get your opinion on that, too. But if you do, that doesn't stop the investigation, or does it?
Well, a tweet doesn't do anything other than express what I think is frustration. And quite frankly...
but it has no chilling effect in your understanding.
It has no chilling effect.
And if you fired Robert Mueller, would the investigation go away?
Not necessarily, but so we've actually discussed legislation here in the House that I think is appropriate, and that is put some boundaries on this investigation, put a timeline in there, let's get a report done, and let's get it over with and move on. Because, in my opinion, President Trump has been exonerated from everybody by, like Comey, like Clapper, the House Intelligence Committee. Okay, so there's no collusion there. There's no point for this investigation. So let's find a way to pull the plug, and maybe the Congress needs to do that.
That's fascinating, because there are two things going on, and I want to know from you, are there two factions on Capitol Hill, and are some of them Republicans? So what you're saying is put some boundaries on where Mueller's going, and particularly what he can spend and where he can go and all that. But then you have people who want to put some boundaries on whether or not the president can fire Robert Mueller and to save his job.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. I mean, I actually heard somebody from the other party on the floor today say that we need to pass a bill that Robert Mueller can't be fired. And so it's really indicative of the division within the country in some respects. But it also gets to the heart of this, Harris, and that is, originally, people were calling for President Trump to be impeached before he ever even got sworn in. And that kind of, this whole delegitimization thing is what I think is driving what's going on now. And it's not producing anything positive in the investigation. It's not producing anything positive for the country either.
Last question for you, Representative. Robert Mueller enjoys bipartisan support for the most part. Do you support him? And, you know, considering some boundaries that you'd like to put on the investigation, do you support him staying and finishing the job?
No, I've been calling for his recusal since last June. The very fact that the team that he put together is so biased and has so many conflicts indicates to me that this investigation, indicated to me back then that this investigation would not be an objective investigation. I'd suggest that that's the case today. I don't think his product has been scintillating in any way, and I think that we'd all be better served if he was gone.
Would you replace him?